Hello and welcome everyone. In this chapter, we are going to discuss about the VTP, VLAN trunking protocol. So, first of all, we need to understand that why do we need VTP and what is the importance of the same. Okay. So let us try and understand one of the scenario for the same here. Okay. Say for example, we have a switch here, and of course in this particular switches you have the different ports available here, and let's say we have another switch that we have got here also. The different ports are available, and we do have one more switch, let's say, and here also the ports are available accordingly, and we have some, let's say, the PCs which is connected here in each of the switches like this. Now we need to understand one of the very basic concept here. Okay, so I will just move ahead and show you what exactly the needful is required here. Okay, so far let's say the connection from here is like this. They are connected here. Now like this the communications are. Now take an example. Let's say in this particular switch, this is my, let's say, consider this is my switch 1, and in switch 1, from here to here, this is basically there in, let's say, VLAN 10, and they are basically part of, let's say, VLAN 20 in switch 1. And in switch 2 also, let's say your network is bigger, you have switch 1, you have switch 2, and you have switch 3 also, and also here also you have the VLAN 10 and VLAN 20, VLAN 10 and VLAN 20. You do have the VLAN 10 and then VLAN 20 as well. Now the point is, right now let's say they are independent switch, but think about you are operating in a single organizations, so definitely you will connect your all the switches together, and you have the requirement of communications as well. So normally what we will be doing, I will go ahead and do the needful here as simple. We will connect our trunk link from here to here, trunk link from here to here, of course, yes. The point is, now let's say if you have the VLANs here as 2 VLANs only in per switch, 3 switches, 2 VLAN per switch, how many times you need to create the VLANs? 6 times. Say for example, like this you have the number of switches, let's say hundreds of switches connected, and in one switch you need to create 10 VLANs. In the sense, how many times you will perform the VLAN configuration? 1000 times. Of course, yes, we can go ahead and simplify this task as well. So how exactly you can go ahead and simplify? It's like if you have the more number of VLAN span across the multiple switches, you can go ahead and make use of the VTP, virtual trunking protocol, or VLAN trunking protocol, to replicate the VLAN information from one switch to another switches. So this is the major and important point about the VTP. It is basically used for VLAN synchronization across the multiple switches. It provides the centralized view of your complete topology as well. Okay, so let's move ahead and try to understand what exactly and how it can help and how it works. Okay, in detail we will see that now. See, so far this is the actual point that why we need VTP. Okay, now let's move ahead. See here, so far when it comes to the VTP, this is what one of the major point, as VTP is one of the Cisco proprietary protocol, and it is basically used to share the VLAN information or VLAN configuration with the multiple switches to maintain the consistency through the networks. Okay, now make sure VTP is used to manage, is like addition of your VLANs, deletion or maybe renaming of your VLANs itself across the different switches from the central point of control. Okay, now make sure the informations will be only passed between the switches if they are connected with fast Ethernet link. Okay, so make sure it is very important. If you have the connection between the switches, let's say this is my switch 1 and this is my switch 2, so the connection here, the trunk link should be minimum fast Ethernet. Okay, if it is Ethernet technology, it will not work. VTP will not work. So this is very important points. Okay, make sure when it comes to VTP, it operates with different kind of modes. For example, you'll be getting in VTP server mode, VTP client mode, and the transparent mode. 3 mode we have. So the major point, administrator will be always operate this server mode, because here it is very much possible to do any kind of changes. For example, you want to create, delete or modify your VLANs, you can go ahead and perform every operations here, and it will be synchronized with the client and transparent. When it comes to client, in client you cannot create, you cannot delete, you cannot modify the VLAN informations. You can go ahead and just synchronize with the server only. Okay, when it comes to transparent, transparent is equal to independent switch. Transparent is equal to independent switch in your environment. Okay, so in this transparent mode, we can create, we can delete, we can modify our VLANs, but local to the switch. Local to switch in the sense, it will not go ahead and synchronize with anyone. It will work like independent switch into your environments. So what is the benefit of it? It's like you can go ahead and create the VLANs here, which is basically belongs to your normal range of VLANs. Also you can create the VLANs which belongs to extended range of VLAN as well. If you remember something like 1 2 as 100 sorry 2 1002 is the normal one, and later on 10062409 is the extended one. This extended one you can create in only VTP version 2 transparent mode only. So this is what the major benefit of it. Make sure again, transparent never synchronize with the any switches. The configurations remain local to the switch. Okay, so here is the detailed information about the same on the DTP modes. See here, so read this. VTP server, make sure by default any switches will be there in the server mode only, where you can create, modify and delete your VLANs. It forwards the VLAN information to another switch. That's nothing but synchronized to the client. What is the client and what you can perform? As we discussed, we cannot change, we cannot create, we cannot delete, we cannot modify the VLANs. It only advertises the VLAN information from one client to maybe another client or maybe to another switch, you can say. It is synchronized, of course, yes. When it comes to the transparent mode, we can create, we can modify, we can delete the VLANs, but it is local to switch. You can also create the extended range of VLANs as well in the switches. Okay, make sure it can forward the VLAN information to another switches. That's very important. It can forward VLAN information to another switches. What does it mean? Say this to understand. I will get back to this scenario. This is very important here. Say this. Say for example, I will do the needful. So first of all, I will go ahead and delete this all the things from here. Delete this all completely. Delete it. I will take one more switch here, and the switch has the ports, and I will connect this switch port from here to here itself. Okay, now this is my switch 4. Okay, now say for example, this one I will make as, this switch I am going to make as, let's say, server, and this as I will make as, let's say, client, and this I am going to make as a transparent, and this I will again make as a client. Make sure if you have the multiple switches like this, try to keep only one server switch, because from here only you will be able to perform all the operations. Okay, so say this now. So what happens now, I will go ahead and create the VLAN here. Let's say I will create VLAN 10. That VLAN 10 informations will get replicated to the client switches here. It's all about, it will come to this VLAN 10s are present here. Client will replicate to transparent, but transparent will not take any kind of information. It will simply forward that information to another client. Your transparent forwards the VLAN information to other switches. So it's all about your VLAN 10 will be present here into this particular client switch, not in the transparent. Similarly, if I go ahead and create the VLAN 20 also, it will get replicated to VLAN 20 here, and VLAN 20 here, it will be there. Your transparent switch will not take any kind of information. Okay. Make sure, if you want, you can go ahead and create the VLANs here individually. For example, you can say I want to create VLAN 100, I want to create VLAN 2002. It is very much possible, extended range of VLANs you can create it, and this never replicates with any other switches. So it will be there in your VTP environment, but it will be as an independent switch. So depends upon your requirement, you can go ahead and use it. Okay. Now, one of the major points to remember here, that you need to create the VLANs in only one switch, like in server. It will get replicated to all client switches. When it comes to deletion, you delete from here, it will be deleted from here as well. You rename here, it will be renamed as well. But the point is, when it comes to assigning the ports into your VLANs, you need to assign the port in each and every switches individually. For example, you create VLAN, you must assign the port individually. You must assign the port individually. Here also, the VLAN is present now, it is available, but you need to assign the ports individual to each and every switch. VLANs will be present, you need to assign the ports to every switches. This is your job. Okay. So make sure, this is very important, only VLAN informations will get replicated. The ports still you need to assign individual to switches. This is very important. Okay. Now, last but not the least, when it comes to the configuration point of view. Okay. So when it comes to configurations in the switches, we'll be using something known as VTP domain name and VTP password. Make sure VTP domain and VTP password must be same in all the switches, and they are case sensitive. That is very important. They are case sensitive. So this is important point. How to configure? Say this now. So couple of more point. So far, if you see the last line now, it should be clear to you. Forward the VLAN information to another switch. Okay. Configurations point of view, you see here, VTP mode by default is server. If you want, you define this, depends upon requirement. Then VTP domain name you need to configure, VTP passwords you need to configure it. And this has to be configured in all the switches. The mode will be different in every switches. Later on, if you want to verify, of course, I will show you. The major point to remember, switch should be configured with the same domain name and the password, since they are case sensitive. And the verification is show VTP status and show VTP passwords. This is a verification command. So in this chapter, we have discussed about the VTP theory in detail, and I will show you the demo in the next chapter. Thank you. See you in the next chapter.